First of all, I just like to highlight the fact that in these long-term programs, it is of the essence, as Jonas talked about before, that we do understand the customers, their operational needs and requirements, and that we can do in investing time and resources to work long-term on this. And we started off to support the early fact-finding activities of the Finnish Air Force years ago. We've been working with this during a decade now. With full commitment, because we see so much logic in that we have an offering that is very well suitable to the needs of Finland. That is driving us. We submitted the best and final offer end of April this year, and now we are eagerly waiting to see the result. And as you have noticed, many of you, the decision is to be decided and communicated before the end of this year. We do what we can to prepare for the hopefully coming stages and phases, and it's going to be an interesting December for sure. What we have as the backbone in our offering is the latest and greatest version of Gripen, the Echo Foxtrot. It is a multi-role platform for sure, just what the Finnish Air Force is looking for. However, the most important thing here, I think, is that it is truly designed for the purpose, for the operational context in this region, for the threat systems we see around, for how it will be used in everyday life at road bases with conscript mechanics. It's designed for this. There too, we have invested a lot to make sure that this platform and system offers the latest available technology, and that it has a high degree of adaptability and can stay operationally relevant throughout the quite long life cycle when talking about fighter aircraft, 30 to 40 years. 2060 has been mentioned many times by the customer. The content of the package we are truly proud of. We have been able to include 64 Gripen Echo fighter aircraft. And not only this, but also the Globaleye airborne early warning and control system. 2 Globaleye systems are in this package, as well as a substantial weapons arsenal. And that is not an initial weapons package, but more of a wartime reserve type. We have as well, to build security of supply, a very mature and substantial industrial participation program with 118 committed projects. We've been elaborating and developing those in close cooperation with Finnish industry over the years. And of course also all the ancillary equipment needed to operate the system is included, as well as training for all the personnel categories and spares and whatever you can come to think of. This is a full package. And the content, as well as price and delivery schedule, is firm. And that's different to how it works, for instance, if you procure through foreign military sales type of channels. Then you set a budget, and depending on the cost level, year by year, when the deliveries are taking place, well, you will see how much is deducted from the initial allocation of funding that you have made. This is a firm one. Also important to note is that Finland as a customer is seeking alignment with the main operator and wouldn't like to be sole operator on what they are buying. We are working very closely alongside with both the Swedish Armed Forces as well as the Defense Material Administration. And there are so many interesting opportunities of synergies between the two nations. And we have been able to come to a full alignment with Sweden, meaning what we are offering now is what also Sweden will operate throughout the years. And we will hear more about this from Colonel Fredrik Holmboom later on. Talking about weapons, of course this is essential to create deterrence and or to have a tangible effect in the target. With Gripen, you will, as an operator, receive the most capable weapon systems. We've taken the integrator's approach to pick the best available weapons from the best suppliers worldwide. In many cases, if you buy a fighter from one country, you end up with weapon systems from that country. But very seldomly, you will find the best weapons of all weapon categories coming from the same nation. And here our integration philosophy is bringing a lot of value. And for Finland, we have built a package where we set aside a great proportion of the whole budget on weapons. More than 20% of the proportion of the total price tag here relating to Gripen with its ancillary systems is the price tag for the serial deliveries of weapons. And you can see examples of what is included. We have the Meteor, probably the world's most advanced air-to-air long-range type of missile system. Extremely agile with a lot of power and capabilities. The Iris-T, highly agile for close combat type of air-to-air situations. We have the Taurus or Kepti 350 long-range strike weapon with a much greater penetration capability, for instance, in regards to the JASSM system of operation that is in operation today. And we have the Spear, extremely capable weapon for advanced moving and also maneuvering ground targets at short to mid-range. So here we have picked the best of the best, really. And just to give you some proportions, because we cannot go into and saying how many weapons of each type that is included. That's sensitive data and information. But if you compare to the investment made when Finland was introducing the JASSM system, and the total budget of that, there we talk about public figures. This package, only the serial deliveries of weapons, is worth around 10 times the value of the whole cost for the JASSM acquisition. I think that could show you a little bit that this is a truly interesting package. Then we would like our pilots to come back home alive, to use the aircraft many more times, and that's why we have electronic warfare systems for self-protection. And here we have been excelling over decades, and if you compare today's operational Charlie Delta system and its EW system, you really need to compare with very sophisticated and specialized EW platforms. Inside a fighter aircraft, this is a very advanced system, and we take this yet a number of steps forward with the Echo Foxtrot configuration. We have all the different types of sensors and countermeasure systems, traditional ones like chaff and flares, as well as active jamming for survivability. But also we use electronic warfare in an active way to disrupt the enemy's or opponent's activities. We talk about electronic attack often. And this is part of the onboard EW system of Gripen. And in Finland, looking at the geography and the situations as a whole, we have situations where the opponent may want to create an anti-access area denial bubble, trying to prevent us from operate there. And we need to make sure that we still can continue our operations. And that is why we are complementing also a very sophisticated onboard system with yet more capability with our latest version of the electronic attack jammer pod. We have been developing jammer pods since decades back. This is the very latest version. It covers very low band and up quite high in frequency. So it's not just a mid-band jammer here. And we have been conducting test flights since a couple of years back, and we have a high level of maturity of this system. We also included the air-launched decoy missile system LADAM, where we work on the platform side in a cooperation with MBDA for synergies. However, the electronic warfare payload is something that we have full control of. And these two components, together with the onboard system, is something that works as a united overall EW and electronic attack package, using the same support systems, the same databases. And with these systems, and I can mention also that for the LADAM side, the electronic warfare payload is under development primarily at our technology center in Tampere, where we are specializing on highly advanced miniaturized EW capabilities and systems. And the whole idea here is to be able to create a safe corridor of operations into this red bubble. And with the LADAMs, we have another geographical type of flexibility. We can come from different angles, and we can also saturate the overall landscape for the opponent. We can mislead and act as false targets and attract the enemy attention to a direction where we think it's better they go, instead of coming against our main formation. And of course, we as well have the EW capability of the system, the onboard system, with us at all times. And this is something available with all the 64 Gripens we have in our package. With our concept, it's not needed to have a specialized EW platform. We have integrated that in all fighters. Then Gripen is born to be airborne, for sure. It is built for harsh conditions, easy maintenance, to be used at road-based operations, handled by conscript mechanics. We have an unbeatable combat turnaround. 10 to 15 minutes we perform a full air-to-air refueling, rearming, and we get airborne again. And this is something really important for the sortie generation, and how many hours we can be in operational service over a 24-hour cycle, for instance. With a short takeoff and landing, we can use many road strips, and there are no fixed installations required, like arresting wires or so. So it's really a fighter that smoothly can be operated with a very low logistic footprint and a small amount of people. Then availability is key. Doesn't matter if we have a sophisticated and well-performing system if we cannot have it airborne. And Gripen is designed with high availability and maintainability from the starting point as a design criteria. And here we see that Gripen is playing in its own league. And this is a comparison out of the 64 Gripen fighters in the HX offering. At all times, our simulations show that we have with margin more than 50 aircraft available. And then we have a scenario, quite a heavy one, with ramp up 3 days and search, where of course we use the system a lot, but we are able to stay at a very good level of availability, because we can cope with the quick cycles of repairs that may be needed. And if we compare with other systems available on the market, and looking at what potentially, it has been quite unclear what is included in other HX packages. However, looking at those publicly available figures, we see that availability, all in all, is in another ballpark with Gripen. And after this first wave, what do we have as a starting point for the next one? Gripen is also designed to be adaptable and to develop over time. We have done something that nobody else has done. We have split the flight critical part of the software from the mission related functions. And this means we can introduce new functionality easily without going into the time consuming and thereby expensive recertification if we want to introduce new functions and if we are not at all touching what is flight critical related. And we will hear a little bit more about this later on. And this incremental development philosophy we've had with the Gripen system since its birth with Alpha Bravo and Charlie Delta versions. But now we take it to the next step to enable continuous capability growth. Not only the fighters, we were also stating that Globaleye is part of this. A true force multiplier, bringing the capabilities to yet another strategic level. This is a system that will provide vital intelligence for the Finnish Defence Forces for their joint capabilities. And it will provide an offloading effect to the fighter fleet, meaning that we are not pushed to get airborne at every time with the fighters, because we will see what is happening around us. And we have a very long endurance. We have a mission time well above 11 hours, so we can easily cover a large area with this one. And the most important here is the pre-warning and the survivability against a first strike. And the whole logic is that ground-based radar systems that nowadays Finland is relying on has their disadvantages or shortcomings. And in comparison with an elevated sensor like the Globaleye, we will extend the coverage by 10 times, adding 20 plus minutes of extra pre-warning. And this is essential for the survivability, for the possibility to rearrange the assets we have on ground, to protect them, to get airborne with the fighters, and to survive this first wave of attack. And as I talked about, not only providing all this intelligence to the Air Force, but for the broader defense forces. The range is incredible. We see further out than 550 kilometers. And of course, the Earth is round, so for the very low level flying objects, that there is a limitation that is at 450 kilometers. But from that distance we see everything coming in, even if it's really nap of the Earth type of low flying objects. We see more or less everything happening. We see stealthy objects, we see small weapon systems, stealthy weapon systems, and it's not just against air targets, but we can also track everything happening at sea. And not only the radar on the roof of the system, but we have a sophisticated electronic support measures suite on board this as well, going out to the same range. And we didn't start yesterday. We have more than 30 years of experience designing and delivering advanced airborne early warning and control systems. And we have more than 60 years of radar experience. And here we combined it into one very interesting package. Then for Finland, regarding Gripen and Globaleye or whatever systems taken into operation, security of supply is key. It's more or less, we sometimes joke and say that it's something of a religion in Finland, to make sure that operations can continue even if the lines of communications are cut to the outer world. And we have made sure to establish a very strong security of supply capability. Traditionally, we talk about support capabilities to be able to conduct maintenance and repairs in country. But we have taken this to another level, making sure that also the capabilities are accessible in Finland at all times, to do capability upgrades over the life cycle. And that's the reason behind the suggestion to establish a system center, a Gripen and Globaleye system center in Finland. And with this system center, we will be able to support operational and tactics development, as well as swift functional upgrades when needed, and when we see in operations that we would like to tweak this little function or do that, we can turn that around and implement it very quickly. And also it would be a focal point for the fleet management and fleet usage optimization. The system center would host everything needed, software development tools, rigs, and the knowledge base. And the setup here is that the Finnish Defence Forces, the Air Force, the Logistics Command, the Strategic Industries, Patria and Instra, together with us as the OEM of Gripen and Globaleye, would work closely together and make this come true. So this is true capabilities in country. Then industrial participation is another important element of creating security of supply. And here we have a clear focus on the direct industrial participation, where we have around 80% of the value of all these projects, the 118 projects I talked about. And there, it's everything relating to Gripen and Globaleye, to build maintenance, repair and overhaul capabilities, as well as sustainment and support, like engineering support capabilities. And on the indirect side, we are pinpointing areas that have been identified by the Finnish Defence Forces as strategically important technology areas where the defence industrial base should evolve and develop to support the needs of Finland as a nation. And we have been working actively since many years back now, and of course Patria and Instra are the most important partners into this. But in total, 37 different companies and organizations are part of this and beneficiaries in this huge program. And I would say we have a very high level of maturity. It's not fluffy. We have thick documents and statements of work defined on exactly what will be done, and I think that's promising for us to deliver on it. We cover more or less the whole of Finland at many different sites and cities. And looking at the projects here, the main bulk is on the direct side when it comes to value. However, there are many projects in numbers of projects on the indirect side. On the direct, the most important things is that we are setting up system capabilities relating to the establishment of the system center, and that goes for both Gripen and Globaleye. We manufacture a lot of parts in different materials so that we build all the capabilities needed for the long-term operation. And we conduct final assembly of a large proportion of the aircraft in Finland, as well as assembly and testing of the engines. And for more than 150 subsystems, we create deep maintenance, repair and overhaul capabilities. And then, as I talked about, the main areas is command and control systems related and cyber related projects on the indirect side, as well as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and we have in advanced materials and so on a number of projects as well. And we are forward-leaning. 10 projects are already ongoing and have been approved, where we see a lot of business logic from our side and from the other industrial parties in Finland involved. And you can see some examples here. Advanced material and structural testing that we're doing, for instance, with VTT, additive manufacturing, there we have been supporting the establishment also of a company in Finland, Amexi OY, on that side. With Insta we are working, and we have selected the active noise reduction system as a standard equipment for all our Gripen operators. So Brazil, Sweden, and will be for Finland, we hope, if that decision is made. So just to mention some of them. And then this is a design to cost procurement. Affordability is key. Nobody wants uncertainty when it comes to affordability. And here we have of course designed this package and all the content to be within the budget of around 9 billion for acquisition. 9 billion is what remains after the Finnish Defence Forces have reserved some margin for themselves for their internal cost of facility adaptations and so on to take a new system into operation. And everything I've been talking about is included. The full cost of everything relating to industrial participation, all the weapons we talked about, all the fighters, the supporting systems, all the training. There is nothing hidden here or that will be popping up later on. Just as important is also to be able to show that we can stay within the yearly assigned budget for operation and sustainment. It has been stated by the Finnish Defence Forces that it must not cost more than 250 million yearly to operate and sustain. Within margin, according to our calculations, we are within this. And that is with all the 64 Gripens. And it is also a flight production that stays at the same level as the Air Force is flying today and they are used to fly. Everything that they have been requesting, which is the same flight hours per year for any candidate. And Globaleye system and all the flight hours of that is also included. So here we have a very high level of confidence that still within that 250 we will really be able to save a margin for the defense forces to make other investments for the Navy or for the Army or whatever they'd like to. And this is recurring cost each and every year. And then it is of course hard to guess what the future will bring, what new needs will arise. But the defense forces have said that roughly 2 billion may be set aside over the life cycle of 30 years for capability growth. And what we see with that type of budgetary target, the way we have designed both Gripen and Globaleye will make it very interesting, because as we do not need to do those costly recertifications once we are introducing new tactical functionalities, for instance, we will have a lot out of this. A big proportion of those 2 billion will really be transferred into real capability improvements and not just costly iterations for formal certification procedures. And to summarize, my last slide here is that we truly see that this is a perfect match. Gripen is designed for the task, for the threat environment, for the type of everyday operations. Globaleye is an excellent force multiplier. And in many cases I see it's sometimes forgotten when you read about there are different candidates and you compare one fighter to the other. But this is yet another strategic level of capabilities for the whole Finnish Defence Forces. Nobody beats us on cost. Cost efficiency in this procurement, a design to cost procurement, is directly transferring back to more capability. Security of supply, well, we truly have the toolbox as well as the mindset. And I think you will hear a little bit about that later on, some examples from how we do it in Brazil, for instance, very good examples. And the timing is perfect. Gripen is a proven and mature system. Since decades back in operational service in many countries, with Echo Foxtrot version, we offer the latest available technology. And with Globaleye, it is our latest airborne early warning and control system, but yet it builds on a long experience over decades. Last but not least, we as a company, as Jonas was explaining, we have a true commitment in and for Finland that will continue. And also, in a broader perspective, looking at the drive and the political agenda in both Finland and Sweden for the further deepened defense cooperation and all the synergies and possibilities between Finland and Sweden, we think that that is an excellent basis for this type of long-term program a fighter acquisition is about, and that we will hear more about in a minute. So that concludes our view. This is the logic we see, and we will do what we can throughout the day to make you see this light as well. We think it's well fitted.